Hello everybody, my name is Wendy Sanford and I am the Adult Services Librarian at the Ringwood Public Library, and I welcome you to this month's edition of Mid-Month Make-Its with Wendy. Today we're going to be doing a pour painting vase and a double header. We're also going to be doing a wall hanging with this same procedure. And when I mean pour, I don't mean P-O-O-R, I mean pour as in we're going to be pouring paint. I have never done pour painting, but I saw some pictures of some vases that I thought were incredible, and then when I realized how they were made, I said, well, I'm going to give that a shot too. Let me show you, for instance. Can you see that? This is a pour painting vase that's already done. And I have my vase. Clear vases work the best, I guess, because then you'd be able to see through here. But this is a vase that I had hanging around, and I do want to try and put it to good use. So I'm going to pour paint over this vase. And when people have been doing their pour painting, all of the paint that pours down collects somewhere, and many people then use this as a base. This is just a blank canvas, but I'm going to try and use a record album as the holder so that the paint will drip down on it, and then maybe I'll be able to have a really nice design on the record album as well. I gathered supplies for doing the pour painting vase, including this is the vase, and I just cleaned it with paper towels and alcohol, and I set that aside. I have a big container that I'm putting down on top of a protective sheet on my counter. This container is big enough to hold the record album. Record album I have, instead of sealing it with paint, I sandpapered it to get the groove straight. You can see this is from the sandpaper. And the paint that I'm using are a bunch of different colors of acrylic paint. This is water-soluble acrylic paint. You can buy at the store already pour painting medium, or what I did is I added some distilled water to the cups. I just poured the color I wanted in, dropped a little bit of distilled water, stirred it up really well. The colors that I chose, of course, are my peacock colors. So I have the teal, some purple, green, navy blue, got a little bit of metallic gold, a touch of black, and a little bit of the white. I'm going to set up my painting area. I'm going to use 2 paper cups, my album, I have a little plastic cup that's going to fit like this inside of the vase, and I'll turn that upside down. And the plastic cup will, when I need to remove it from the album, it'll be there for me to not ruin the vase. Plastic gloves. And I have a cup each of my colors with the acrylic paint and distilled water. The creamier, the better, is what I heard. So I stirred them up really well. And I think now I'm ready to start the pour. So the procedure that I'm using to do the pour is called a dirty pour. I'll explain. Clean pours are when you take the cups of the paint and you pour it directly on the vase, and then you take the next one and pour it. That's a clean pour. A dirty pour is when I take each of the colors and pour them together into one cup, just stacking them in, and then pouring it onto the vase like this. So that's called a dirty pour. And let's get the glass set up. Well, let the experiment begin. Again, here's the vase. Here's what I want to pour, and I'll hope that I poured enough to cover the vase, and then enough that I'll be able to spread on the record album. So I'm going to go in a circle first. And I'm just letting it pour. I think that my first pour went well. It does look something like a peacock color vase. It's still dripping very wet. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to let it stand, do a little bit more dripping and drying, maybe around 10 minutes, and then I'll take it off of the record album, and then I'll work on getting the record album covered. I've let the vase sit for about 10 minutes. It's still dripping, but it slowed down the dripping. So I'm going to carefully lift it by where the glass is that's supporting the vase and carry it over to my drying area and see if we could get to work on the record album. So carefully. Okay, now here's the record album with the drippings, and just going to tilt it in different directions and let the paint run off while making different designs. Tilt it this way. Tilt it back towards the center. Let it drip. Get some of that teal down to the bottom. Okay, dripping is making different designs. I'll let it drip down this way. Shake it off a little. Okay, all right, I'm happy with the design, so let's see, do I have enough paint off so it'll dry? A little bit more. Okay, okay, so now I'm just going to let this dry overnight, this in the vase. We'll see in the morning what it looks like. It's now the next morning, and I just couldn't wait to see how these crafts have turned out. They are completely dry now, and here is the completed vase. I like the striation in that, and I think that the pour just worked really well. Let me see. My record album, loving it too. But you know what? I think that I'm going to add another step, and that is that I want to somehow seal at least the vase. First of all, it lost its shine when it dried. The paint was beautifully all shiny, but it dried up a little bit dull. And also, because these are water-soluble acrylics, we really don't want to use the vase then unless we can somehow seal it. So I went down in my basement and I found that I had this crystal clear enamel spray paint. So I'm going to go outside, I'm going to spray paint these two items, and when they dry we'll come back in and we'll see if that helped to seal it and to give it a little bit more of a luster. I'm back from being outside spraying this crystal clear enamel onto the vase and the record album, and it was a success. Now you could see a shine on the vase before it was dull. And when I was outside, the sun was out, and I was able to see here in the black, especially the gold flecks in it. Oh, I think that's gorgeous. And it turned out just right. I'm very happy. The record album, also nice and shiny. The pattern on it, I love. And I know exactly what I want to do with this peacock colored record album. Let me show you. I'm going to make a little vignette that I'm going to put out in my apartment. Let's see. Okay. I have a vase and flowers. There we go. So I thank you for hanging in with me on my first dirty pour of acrylic paint on the vases and on a record album. Remember, you could also use a canvas if you wanted to hang it up. So thank you for watching my mid-month Make It with Wendy. And I hope that you get a chance to try some pour painting, because I'm very happy with how it looks. I'm pretty sure that you will be too. So join me next month on Facebook for Mid-Month Make-Its with Wendy. Have a great rest of August, and I'll see you next month.